All right. So I was explaining one diagram, this one, and I was telling you that, see, for every object, what you see in the front end, there is one database table in the back end with the same name. So for example, if the object name in the front end is account, database table would also be account. And even there is a class with the name called as account. All right. So all these three, the model, view, and controller, all three of them would have the same name. All three of them would have the same name. All right. So with this phenomenon, we came to know about one fact that there's always a business logic class for every object. That means if you have an object called as account, an object called as case or contact, or any one of them, there is one thing on which every one of us should be sure about if we see an object in the front end. So for that object, there would always be a database table with the same name, and there would also be a business logic class. There would also be a business logic class with the same name. That means from this onward. And see, that is what is the principle of ORM actually says. When we say ORM, object relationship and mapping, the ORM precisely focused on one thing. According to ORM, every object is a class. Every object is a class, and that is what it has been stated with MVC architecture. Every object is a class. Every object, and what does it MVC architecture would say to you? Model. Sorry, this is model. And then view, right? View and controller. So we are more interested only in this much portion. The portion that joins your front end with the back end with the front end. All right. So that is what does ORM actually specifies. So according to ORM, every object is also a business logic class with the same name. So whatever the object you have seen in the front end, assume that every object is a class. Every object is a class. That is what does it says ORM, object relationship and mapping. So according to the phenomenon of ORM, object relationship and mapping, every object is what? It's a class. So if it is a class like this, if it is a class, yesterday you have seen, not yesterday exactly, but I mean, in the last lecture, you have seen like how we can create our own custom classes and we can define the variables inside that class. Similarly, now, if I am saying that every object is a class, like account is a class, yes, contact is a class, opportunity is a class, every one of them is a class. So if they are classes, they must always have members of the classes. Yes, of course, they have. What are the members of the classes? Whatever you see, if I would go to, for example, if I would go to account, and I'd expand this and I would go to the view fields. Whatever the fields you would see, this all name, number, site, source, annual revenue. These are the members. I mean, these are the variables actually. These are the variables. They are the members. Moreover, you have some of the custom buttons like new button is there, like edit button, delete button. They are functions actually. They are internally, they are functions. So all of these functions and all of these fields are variables and buttons are functions. With if you would go to the yesterday's or maybe day before yesterday, the last session, I have told you that when we say members of a class, there are two different members. There are two different types of members. Variables, what you have declared, what you have defined, all those variables, like integer variables, string variables, all of them. These along with the methods inside a class. If you have any method over here, that is also a member of a class. Now, after ORM, we came to know that every object is a class. Every object is a class. So if it is a class, it must also have the members. Yes, of course it have. All of the fields, what you see inside an object, all of the fields, what you see inside an object, that is a variable. And all of the buttons, what you see inside the object, They are functions. Combinedly, these functions, these variables, they are members of the classes. They are members of the classes. So that is one thing. Now, second thing, again, one important point I have wanted to discuss over here. I have shown you like how we can use the members of the classes. Like with the last program, if I told you that if this is a class, you have defined few of the variables over here, right? Few of the variables. If you wanted to give them the value, you wanted to assign them some value, or you wanted to retrieve the value of them, you first of all would require to create an object of the class. Because if you wanted to use any member of a class, member could only be used from the object of the classes. We cannot access members directly. We always have to access them from the objects. So how to create the object? This is what we have discussed. Class name, object name equals to new class name, and make this as a default constructor. And now with respect to this object name, we could access all these members. Wherever, I mean, if you wanted to assign the value or you wanted to retrieve the value, you have to go in the same pattern. You have to maintain this pattern whenever you are accessing the member of any class. Now, this member could be even a variable, or could be a collection, or could be a function. You have to use, could be a method. You have to go like this only. Now, in the same way, see, with the same phenomenon, let's move further. We just came to know about that all of the objects that we have seen, all right, we were like, we know about one thing, that objects, they are the database tables. But we very few time we have talked about this. But now this whole discussion ORM goes on this side only. According to ORM, every object is a class. So when it's a class, it must always have members, and we are talking about that only. All right. So now let me take few of the programs so that I could make you understand. Like, go with all these basic programs. I would directly jump myself to some of the serious programs. Let me go with this one. Write an Apex program to insert an account. All right. Inside the account object, like this, inside the account object. How many records right now it's have? Let me try to check it out. So right now the account is having 132 records. Let me try to insert a record, but not from here. I would not going to insert the record from here. Rather, I'm going to do this with the programming. All right. So there are 132 records inside the account, what I'm doing. And now I would be going to insert one new record, but from the programming. All right. So let me do that. Let me now show you this. So this again, we are going to do this in the developer, in the execute anonymous window. See, account. I mean, what is my program? My program is like, write a program to insert insert one record of account, or one record inside account, whatever it is. So I wanted to, insert one record of account. See, account is a class. According to ORM, every object is a class. If account is a class, what is the name of that class? Same, account. What is the name of object? Account. What is the name of database table? Account. Everywhere it is same. All right. You don't have to make yourself confused with this. So if I wanted to use any member of this class account, the very first thing, the step number one would be create the object of class. Considering account as a class. If I wanted to access any member of that account class, the first thing is like, I have to create an object of that class. So how to create the object? Class name. What is the class name? Account. Object name, any given object name equals to new and then account, and make this as a default constructor. Now, with respect to this ACC, you can create the record. What I'm doing, you can create the record of account. Okay, you can create the record of the account. So see how ACC dot, let's say name equals to, let me give any name, Suresh Kumar Sharma, and then ACC dot rating, ACC dot rating. All right, it's hot. ACC dot phone equals to, let me give a value, and then ACC dot, let's say fax equals to fax, and then ACC dot industry equals to, let's say banking, and then ACC dot annual revenue equals to this value, and then ACC dot ownership equals to private, and then ACC dot website equals to www.sampletest.com, and then ACC dot, let's say the active status, but active C underscore underscore C. Why underscore underscore C? There are few of the values, there are few of the fields inside account object which are a custom fields. So for every custom fields, for every custom fields, you should always give. See, the active is a custom field. And every custom field must always be appended with underscore underscore C. Every custom field must always be appended with underscore underscore C. All right. So active status is yes. And this much is sufficient, I think. All right. So this is what I just have created a record. I just have created a record. Then the next step is to insert the record. Insert the record. Now, see here, I would be going to fire one DML statement. Although we are going to study this, later on, but we can use it. I mean, we can understand and we can use it. No problem. See, what is the significance of a DML statement? First of all, understand this. All right. See, you go to a shopping mall, like maybe that D-Mart. All right. So how we usually do the shopping? I mean, if I'm planning to purchase a lots of commodities from there, all right. So what I usually do would be like, I will first of all take a cart with me, because I know I am not going to purchase only few things. Rather, I'm going to purchase a lots of the commodity, lots of the item I'm planning to purchase from this shop. So what I do would be like, I'll take a cart with me, that trolley, and I enter into that, and I'll start picking up everything, whatever I wanted, for my, that's all, in my monthly budget planning, so whatever, right? I'll pick up all those items from that shop, and I'll put it into the cart. I'll put it into the cart. And once then everything has been done, I'll go to the cash counter, and there I'll make only one bill of all of those commodities, all of those items, all of those purchasing what I have made from this, right? And I'll going to pay for that. This is a usual process, right? I'm not going to do it like this. For example, I wanted to purchase the 100 things. I'll pick up one, go to the cash counter, pay the amount, take the bill, and then again go and pick up the second one. I'll go once again, go to the cash counter. I'm not going to do it like this. All right. So in the same way, now try to understand this. Now try to understand this. See, whenever you create a record, this record actually goes to a temporary memory called as heap. This record goes to a temporary memory called as heap. Right now, this record is not present inside database.com. Now, this record right now is present inside a temporary memory called as heap. You have created the record, but that record is not committed inside database. This record is not committed to database. If you wanted to commit this to database, if you wanted to commit this into database, you wanted this to be get transferred from here to database.com to a table inside database.com. Inside database.com, there is a table for account table. All right. Inside database.com, there is a table called as account. You wanted this whole data to get transferred to database.com, account table inside database.com, inside database.com. You would require to fire a statement called as DML, data manipulation language. So whenever we wanted to interact with data, this is a separate topic. Don't worry. This is a separate topic. DML. I'm going to take this in upcoming days. We are going to learn it in a separate topic called DML. So this one is a separate topic, by the way. But whenever we wanted to commit anything, whenever we wanted to do any operation from database onto database, we always make a use of DML. So there are so many different types of DML statements: insert, update, upsert, merge, delete, undelete. So there are 6 different forms of them. There are 6 different forms of DML statements: insert, update, upsert, merge, delete, undelete. So we're going to learn all of them. Don't worry. But right now, I'm making you habits. I'm giving you this habit to use one of them. What is that? Insert. What is that? Insert. To commit this data into database, we're going to make a use of one of the DML statement called insert. We're going to make a use of one of the DML statement called insert. So what would happen after insert? This whole data, this whole data would get transferred. This whole data would get transferred. Whatever you have created, this whole data would get transferred over here. So basically, whenever I wanted to store, once you have created this is just you have created a record, but that record is not inside database. That record is inside a temporary memory called as heap. To transfer this from heap to database.com to that table, we would use something called as insert. And what we have to insert? We have to insert that object, the complete object. We are not going to insert individual. We are not going to pay the bill for individual entities, right? We will pick them all inside one cart, and this whole cart, the name of the cart is ACC. The name of trolley is ACC. So we take this trolley to the cashier and then we'll pay for this whole amount. So I'm not going to insert name and then rating and then phone like this. No, we'll take this, we'll combine them inside one entity called as an object of the class. And then we're going to insert this whole object. All right, we're going to insert this whole object. After insertion, just to verify, and this we're going to do every time. Verify the insert operation or DML operation, whatever. So see, I'm going to fire one if statement. You're going to understand this. बहुत सारे program लेने वाला हूँ मैं ऐसे तो ठीक है अभी बस समझते चलो. So if ACC, see, whenever a record is getting inserted inside Salesforce, understand, कोई भी record, whenever a record gets inserted inside Salesforce, for example, if this is a record, when this record get inserted, so every record inside Salesforce is having an ID which is of 18 digit. So whenever a record get inserted, it must have an ID. So if you are inserting this record with DML insert, you are trying to insert this record. So if it get inserted properly, it would definitely have an ID. So if ACC.ID is not equals to null, that means the ID is generated. If ID is not equals to null, this means the ID is generated. If ID is generated, it means the data is inserted successfully. If the ID is generated, it means data is inserted. So I'm going to print that system.debug, the data or the account record is created, created is created with ID equals to, and I can print that as well, acc.id. Okay, let me now show you this. So let's first of all go to the Salesforce and see whether we have any account name called Suresh Kumar Sharma. Do we have any such record inside account with the name called Suresh? We don't have, all right. As you can see, we don't have any such record. Now, see, I would be executing this. I would be executing this. All right. Once again, let me explain you this program, and then I'm going to perform the execution. So according to ORM, every object is a class. Every object is a class. In the last session, you have understand, like, we have taken one program by which you have seen, like, if there is a class and if all these are the variables of the classes, if I wanted to assign them any value, how to do that? So the first thing was I have created one object of this class. Similarly, if there is a class called as account, I wanted to use the variable of those accounts. So I have created an object of the account, right? What is the name of that object? ACC. Like this over here. I have created one object of a class called customer details. All right, isn't it? Now, to assign the values to these variables, what I did, this object name dot member name variable name, object name dot variable name, object name dot variable name, object name dot variable name. You see this? Same thing here. I'm also telling you the same thing. The only difference is, like, here you have created a class. You have created a class, a custom class with all these custom variables. And according to ORM, every object is a class. So we don't have to create a class called as account. Why should I create it when there is already a class called as account? I just have to create an object if I wanted to use the member of that class. I just would require to create the object of the class. I actually don't require to create a new class called as account. Why should I do that? There's already a class called as account, contact, opportunity. For every object, there is a class. That is what does ORM says to you. That is what is this phenomenon actually states, that every object is a class. So similarly, I have created one object of the class account. Account ACC equals to new account. Sorry, and then make this as a default constructor. Then acc.name, object name dot method name, object name dot member name, object name dot variable name. Same. I have created a record. Now in this program, I was just printing them, right? I was just printing them, system.debug. But here, because there is an object, there's an object for that object, there's a database table. And I wanted this record to be get inserted into database. Right now, it is not inserted. Only the record is created. Where it is created? Inside a temporary memory called as heap. Only the record is created, but it's not listed out. It's not committed to database. To transfer this to database, to store this inside database, to commit this inside database, we have use and statement, one DML statement called as insert. Insert what? The complete object. After that, this data is going to be get transferred to the database.com account table. And to verify this is the code. So if ACC, if this record has been inserted, ID would be getting generated. So if ID is not null, it means the record is inserted, because only the inserted record have the ID. Only the records inside database.com have the IDs. That is what I'm printing. All right. Let me now execute this program. So I have executed this. I have sending the request. Request has been sent from here. And yeah. Now let me go to the debug only. So the count record was inserted with this ID, right? You can copy and paste it over here. That is one thing. Or else you can refresh and you're going to find, you not find. Maybe this is into all. I'll go with the recent records. Recently, if it is even not there, I'll just make a copy. Don't worry. I will copy this. See, this is that complete 18-digit ID. You see, this is complete 18-digit ID. This is complete 18. You just would require to paste it, right? After salesforce.com, just paste it. And you're going to see that record. Suresh Kumar Sharma. Now, this all details. This also. This is like how we can insert records inside any object, but with the help of a program. This is how we can insert the record inside any object. How you have created this record? Have you created, have you pressed this new button? No. Have you used this front end part, user interface part? No. We have created this record from the programming by using DML statements, by using the functionalities of ORM. All right, this record has been created. So there are so many examples for this. I hope, let me see. Go with all of them. Go with all of them. This is the account creation which I have taken. The second one is to insert an hiring manager record. And these all are the assignments. So 6 plus 2 totals is 8. Do it them. Do all of them. All right. Tomorrow I would show you like how we can create related records. Okay. Go with all of them. They are pretty simple things. These are all pretty simple things. 6 plus 2. 2 solved, 6 unsolved. All right. Go with all of them. Yeah. That's all for today. I'm giving you this command. You can now unmute yourself if you wanted to ask anything. Yes. Go ahead. Any questions? Any questions? Any questions? All right then. Please solve these all assignments. Thank you so much for joining.